Good evening, good evening, good evening. I am Tamara Johnson Shealey. Good evening. I'm so used to saying good morning. Good evening. I am Tamara Shealey, and this is my first broadcast of Let's Talk with Tamara Shealey. And I have my very first guest. I'm going to bring him on, Mr. Chris Lawson out of Sacramento, California. We're going to talk about this ADOS
Yes.
movement that's happening, that's sweeping across the nation. Chris, welcome. How are
What's
you,
up? What's
sir?
up? Oh, I am doing amazing. Thank you for having me. Thank you for doing this broadcast. And thank you for all the amazing work you do, obviously, as a leader where you are. So thank you for having me.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you. Got to keep that camera still.
Yeah, we'll do.
Thank you. Thank you. What's going on? First of all, let's do an introduction. Tell us who
Sure.
you are, Mr. Chris Lawson. You've been on the grounds out in Sacramento, like holding it
Yeah.
down.
Yeah. So originally I'm from New York, actually. I'm originally from New York City. Been here in California for, I want to say, almost 4 years now, here
Mhm.
in Sacramento specifically. And I do a whole bunch of stuff. I do some legal research. I write for a local paper. I do some online organizing. I do some offline organizing and advocacy. And I really just try to spend my time fighting and supporting, fighting for and supporting movements that are for justice.
What does that mean for justice? Like, tell us all about that, Chris.
Yeah, so just from my own personal experience and from my own personal work, I've deliberately involved myself in as many different movements and groups and organizations that I could that are in some way fighting for what's owed to people who are like me, who are American descendants of slavery. And I know we'll get into that. But I've spent my time deliberately involving myself in these kinds of activities for some time now. I've actually been organizing and doing political work for many years now. I've been active probably since I was a teenager, to be 100% honest, which was a long ass time ago. So yeah, so that's what I mean.
The American Descendants of Slaves, ADOS. Like, okay, so I had to pick up the phone, right, and call you. Like, Chris, what is this ADOS movement that's sweeping across the country? What is it? This at the American Descendants of Slaves. What is this? Why is this important to Black people? What is
Right.
this?
Right. So it's ADOS. It's American Descendants of Slavery, and that's important to say
Slavery.
slavery.
Okay.
And we'll talk about why. But it is
Now you gotta look
a
at us.
way.
You gotta look at us because I don't. You looking
Yes,
away.
yes. All right. So I'm start thinking. So
Bring it
it's a
home.
way to describe a group of people. It's a description of a group of people, those of us who descend from the institution of slavery here in America. And so if there are, let's say, 40 million quote unquote Black households here in America, there, some upwards of 30 million of those people descend from the institution of slavery. So ADOS describes those of us who descend from that institution. Anyone who descends from that institution who has an ancestor here who was involved and a part of the institution of slavery on the receiving end in terms of being a slave, then that person is an American descendant of slavery. Now, the ADOS movement itself really is an extension of that group of people. So for several years now, many of us have been meeting online and working, laying a political foundation for what kind of specific political demands should this group of people, those of us who descend from slavery, the institution of slavery, what kind of specific political demands and political positions should we be advocating for? And in the last, let's say, 2 weeks, a month, the ADOS hashtag ADOS has really taken off. We've started using that hashtag in our online communications. And once we started using that hashtag, the idea of ADOS and and everything surrounding it just sort of took off and sort of became sort of has a life of its own and legs of its own. But at its core, it describes a specific group of people who I would argue have a specific justice claim here in America. And the ADOS movement itself is an extension of those claims.
And you know what? When I saw ADOS, and you're in Sacramento, California, and
Right.
I pick up the phone. And I'm like, we're out here on the East Coast, and all I saw was this hashtag, and I'm like, I gotta ask somebody what this is. What is this all about? And when I called you, I said, you know what, Chris? I said I saw that the Breakfast Club where Kamala Harris went on the Breakfast Club, and they asked her about did she have what was the Black agenda? What was
Right.
what was she going to bring to the Black agenda, more or less? They asked Cory Booker the same question, and both of them, I saw both of those clips, and neither of them could answer what it is that they have for Black people.
So on the one hand, that's horrible, right? Like that's horrible and that's unacceptable. But on the other hand, the fact that that question was asked, what is your agenda for Black people? They didn't say ADOS, but what is your agenda for Black people? I would say Black ADOS. What is your agenda for Black people? Specifically, the fact that that question was asked is a result of the pressure that we've been putting on not just politicians, but also journalists and activists and organizers from the ground. I mean, this is an organic thing. This thing came out of just regular people coming together. So the fact that that question was asked by Charlemagne is proof that what we're doing online and offline is working, because now these candidates are having to address specifically the Black community, the ADOS community specifically, with specific policy that targets them specifically. None of this a rising tide lifts all boats, none of this trickle down liberalism, none of this we're all in this together. No. What are you going to do specifically targeted for us? So the fact that that question was asked is a testament to the work that we've been doing, but the fact that they didn't have an answer is a testament that we have more work to do.
Oh, and you know what? When they asked Cory Booker, when they asked him, he said something to the effect of, "Is America's agenda? The Black agenda is America's agenda." And I immediately thought to myself, the Black agenda has never been America's agenda. So when he said that, I'm like, Cory, you don't even have an answer for this question. And then Kamala kind of like, she did a little better than him, but she still skated around it. And then today, I saw Bernie's clip, and he had no answer for it at all.
Yeah. Yeah, I 100% agree with you. Booker was horrible on this question. He took a lot of fire online after that interview, and I haven't seen much, from him in, by way of another response. So I hope him and his team are getting, their stuff together. But quite honestly, if you ask me personally, you should already have that agenda ready. You should have came to us with that agenda. And the fact that you went on The Breakfast Club, which is a show that's watched predominantly, I think, by younger Black folk, urban ADOS people. Mm-hmm. The fact that you went on that show, either one, you didn't expect to get that question, or two, if you did expect it, you didn't come prepared with an answer. The fact that you went there and didn't have an answer and don't have an agenda and have been in Congress for however long and haven't pushed a Black agenda, to me, it's too late for you already. You can't now come out with an agenda because, one, I'm not going to buy it, right? What have you been doing all this time in Congress, right? And two, why do I have to push and kick and scream and fight with you, someone who's supposed to be ADOS, to have an agenda that specifically targets our community? Look, we're in a very bad way. We're in a very bad place. Just yesterday, professors from, I believe, Duke University and other universities released the third installment in a series called the Color of Wealth series. And this particular installment is called The Color of Wealth in Miami. So they've been going around from city to city and looking at the assets and the net worth of specifically Black ADOS people, not only us, but they have specific data for Black ADOS people, not immigrants who come from Africa, not immigrants who come from parts of Latin America, Black ADOS, US born American descendants of slavery, ADOS. And what that latest installment just showed us is that the median net worth of a Black ADOS in Miami is $11. $11. Yes, and it's $11 in median net worth for the median family in Miami. That's Black ADOS. In Boston, it's $8. $8 in median net worth. In Los Angeles, it's $200. $200 in median net worth. That's not enough money to be American. That's not enough wealth to be a full citizen in this country. So if you're a politician and you don't have a specific plan, specific targeted, tangible ideas with tangible resources attached to them to address this problem, then there's no way that you're going to get my vote. No way. I don't care if you're a Democrat, Republican, independent, whatever.
We've been giving that vote away for a long time, Chris. We've been voting straight down ticket, straight down ballot for Democrats for a long time, and we've never held them accountable as Black and brown people. Using the word Black is a bad word. Like any kind of time a candidate says anything specific to Black people, it's a bad word. Even when they asked Bernie about reparations, that was a bad word. So anytime there's something specific to Black people, it is bad.
You are absolutely correct in the political sense and from the political environment that we've been in for a long time now, probably since before both of us were born. You're absolutely right. We've been giving the Democratic Party our votes away for free. We've been calling it voter charity. Right. We've been calling it voter charity. Nothing. Right. That's over. Right. The voter charity days are done. The days where you can, they're done. And you can miss me with what about Donald Trump? What about we need to get Donald Trump out of office? Listen, our people have seen way worse than Donald Trump.
Exactly.
Way
I'll tell you,
worse.
When Donald Trump, when in 2016, when he was on the ballot, when I heard people say they didn't care if Donald Trump won, at first I didn't get that. I didn't get it. But now that I see how this thing has worked, Donald Trump winning, like you said, we've seen worse. We know how to make $1 out of 15 cents as Black people. We know how to survive on nothing because that's all we've ever had is nothing. So this whole thing with Donald Trump is hurting white people. And when they're hurting, now it's a problem.
Right.
We've been hurting for 400 years and it ain't been a problem. But now that y'all are hurting, it's a problem.
Right. Now he's a problem. And now you want me to sacrifice more. Look, say
it, Chris.
I get excited. The Democratic Party, the Democratic presidential candidates must have a specific agenda, specifically targeted for our people. We are a specific group of people with a specific justice claim. You must address us specifically and in a way that is real and serious and substantial and not symbolic.
It is not a false promise. And you know what, Chris? I know they're saying reparations. You know what? I've said this to you. I don't think they could give us as a people enough money. You can never give us enough money to fix this. So that would be you can't. So at this point, you need to come up with a clear plan, a clear agenda to how you're going to specifically help Black people.
Right. And so so the only pushback I have is they need to do reparations, to be honest. And the fact that and that's one piece of the agenda, But if we're really going to get to this racial wealth gap, like I spoke of when I quoted the Color of Wealth studies, right? That is a result. Those numbers that exists everywhere we look.
Mm-hmm.
And that is a direct result of the lineage of slavery. That's our argument, right? You start us from that position, then you put us in 100 years of Jim Crow after 246 years of slavery. Then you add the redlining, then you add the convict leasing, then you add the Jim Crow New Deal, right? Then you add, mass incarceration, the drug war, white terrorism, the KKK. Okay, that is, and all the things that we're not talking about, right? So that is a direct, what our condition right now is a direct result of our history with this country and our relationship to this country. So to 100%. So yes, you're absolutely right. There's no way you're going to be able to pay me for the damage you've done to my, for the lives lost. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
No way to pay me for that. For the fact that our ADOS women ancestors had no control over their bodies for hundreds of years, right? You there's no way you can pay me for that. But there is damn sure a way to pay me and compensate us for the financial contribution and for the financial loss that we've made to this country. It is absolutely unacceptable that in every city we look, we are at or near and pretty much always at the bottom of the ladder. And that's no fault of our own. That's nothing that we're doing wrong. There's another study I'd like to reference called Umbrellas Don't Make It Rain. Okay. Umbrellas don't make it rain. Google that study. Okay. And the idea is pretty simple, right? It's just because you see someone with an umbrella every time it rains does not mean that you can infer that the umbrella is causing the rain, right? Very simple idea. But what that research shows is that, for example, a Black college grad has less wealth than a high school dropout, than a white high school dropout. Okay. A Black college grad has less wealth than a white high school dropout. A fully employed Black person, and by Black I want to talk specifically about ADOS. A Black ADOS person who's fully employed has less wealth than an unemployed white person. Okay, so it's nothing that we're doing wrong. You can get all the education you want, right? You can get all the employment you want, right? But this problem has been intractable because the inequality and the oppression is built into the structure of our government. And it was our government that did this. So we are making a specific claim against the government for the government's actions against us. No, I'm sorry, I lost your sound.
Keep talking.
Okay, gotcha.
It came back. It was something, we had a little glitch there in the matrix.
Totally. The other thing I'll add.
I want to go back to something you said a little while ago about this whole ADOS movement. They're trying to paint this the narrative as these are trolls and these are Russians and these people aren't real.
This has been the Democratic response. This is I want everyone who's ADOS and who would call themselves an ally of ADOS. I want you to witness the response to this organic grassroots movement by the Democratic Party, right? The Democratic National Committee in particular. I want you to witness their response to a group of supposedly people who they want votes for or from soon. I want you to see how they've been attacking us online using old, tired, quite honestly, very racist, McCarthy type attacks against regular ass people, people who just are concerned about their own lives and their own future and the future of their kids, and to attack us the way that the Democratic National Committee has been doing, using their surrogates, Joy Reid, Malcolm Nance, Angela Rye, uh, you name it, Roland Martin in many cases, you name it. The way that the Democratic National Committee has responded, Howard Dean, the way that these people have responded to us is sickening, but it's not unexpected, and it is. I'm just gonna keep it real. The Democratic Party is showing their ass right now.
Yeah, they are.
When we've been comparing, there's always been an idea in our community, right, that the Democrats and the Republicans are just two sides of the same coin, right? Well, they proved it. Okay, they proved it. If you speak up for your own group specifically, you will be attacked by Democrats. That's what they just showed us, and their attacks are failing. Okay, because this is a real movement with real people. Okay, and there are 30 million of us. Okay, 30 million. Okay, that's not some small group of people. That's not some fringe group of people. Okay, 30 million of us with bones buried in this country, blood in the soil of this country. How dare you attack us? How dare you? I mean, if it wasn't so serious, it would almost be funny. But how dare you attack us for fighting for what's ours?
And you know what they say? How dare you? How dare you? Ask for anything? Like,
right.
For so many years, we've been voting straight party ticket. I know so many people who go to the ballot and they vote straight down. They don't know who these people are. They don't know who they are. They don't make any promise. And I'm just going to speak very candidly. When I ran for the Georgia State Senate, District 40, North DeKalb, Gwinnett, and this area, North Fulton. When I ran, they voted for a white woman who did not deserve the black vote, who made it very clear that she rode Stacey Abrams' coattails. She didn't have to make not one promise to black or brown or any kind of other ethnicity. She had to make no promises. She rode Stacey Abrams' coattail and got votes that were not hers because black people went to the polls and voted straight down ticket and gave those votes away. No more of that.
No more. It's over. It's over. It's over.
Democratic Party, it is over.
It's over.
People are not giving you our vote just because there's a D behind a candidate's name. You cannot.
Absolutely not. And
that's specific to people, to black people. You better come with an agenda.
Right, specifically for us. It's funny you mention the Democrats, right, in these sort of more local races, right? Because I'm here in California, right? The state's run by Democrats. The state's run by Democrats. My city here, Sacramento, is run by Democrats or people who call themselves Democrats, right? But we're fighting the same fight as any state or any locality with everyone with an R next to the name. Okay, we have the same poverty here in Sacramento. So, for example, there are neighborhoods here in Sacramento where Black ADOS people, where the unemployment rate for our people is upwards of 30%, 40%, 50% in some cases with youth, right? There are neighborhoods where 60, 70, 75% of the people are eligible for what we call CalFresh, which is basically assistance for people who are low income. 1/3 of the Black ADOS people in my city already have zero net worth. Already, that comes from the Prosperity Now scorecard. You can check it out. Right now, 1 out of every 3 Black ADOS people here in Sacramento already has zero net worth. Half of us are what they call asset poor in a city run by Democrats. So miss me with the labels, right? Y'all been doing very well by yourselves and enriching yourselves and looking out for your people. Well, no more are we going to just give you the vote and give you all other kinds of things if you don't have a specific agenda to address what we're facing.
Exactly. And you know what, Chris, this is a half-hour broadcast, and it has been just what I thought it was going to be, on fire. And
oh, damn, it's already over?
Yeah, we got 3 more minutes.
We just get warmed up. Yeah.
You know what? We're not going to continue down this road. I think this is a new generation of Black empowerment. The 60s led us through one generation of where we had to get the vote. And I respect that, because you know what? These people, they died and fought for us to have this right to vote. But you're not, at this generation, what we're saying to you is that you will not take us for granted. We will not be going to the polls and voting for people who do not specifically have a Black agenda. Every other group can have an agenda. Every other ethnicity can have an agenda. But when you come to the table with a Black agenda, it's like silence and crickets. No more.
Right. No more. Couldn't agree more. No more. The benign neglect is over. The voter charity is over. The trickle down liberalism is over. Come with a specific agenda specifically for this specific group. We have an agenda for you to look at too, if you want to know what it might look at. Right, you go to www.ados101.com, and there is a Black ADOS agenda right there for you to look at. So if you don't have any.
Go ahead, Chris. I'm gonna let you finish, because I want you to make it real clear that the Black agenda doesn't take anything from other people and their agenda. And I think that's where people try to say, what we're taking something, as if we ask as Black people for something, we're taking from somebody else. Can you clear that part up before we head out?
Yeah, that's So that's I don't understand that argument, to be honest with you. It's almost, and part of me says don't even respond to it, because it's almost insulting in many ways to make that argument to us. Now, I understand that there may be some people who just may be misinformed, and so to those people, I would say, look at the agenda that we have online at ados101.com, and tell me, how does that take away from you? Okay. So look at the agenda that we have and tell me, how does that take away from you? That's how I would answer that question.
Yeah. And we're right almost at the end of our half hour, Chris. I just want to say, this is a conversation for those of you that have watched. Please share this video. This is a conversation I'm going to continue to have monthly with Chris. He'll be back next month and to come back and give us another update on the ADOS movement. I'm all in. I think we are the next generation of the civil rights movement. We're not, you have our vote, but you're going to make sure we're going to get something for it. We're not going to just give it away for free anymore. So This is the next generation of the civil rights movement, Chris, and I'm right in the trenches with you.
Pleasure to have you. Pleasure to be fighting side by side with you. You a warrior. We need warriors. So let's get it.
Let's get it. And it take, like I said, we have to address that. It takes nothing away. When you strengthen the Black community, you strengthen America, because at this point we're
yeah, I mean, $11, $8, $200.
Yeah.
Okay, in net worth. I mean, that's not. I mean, I don't want to keep going, but I mean, let me add one thing. Okay, if you took all of the wealth of Black America and of the bottom half of Black America and you added up together, the answer is less than $1. Okay. The bottom half of Black America is worth less than $1 combined. We're in a crisis. Okay. Come with an agenda.
There it is. Give that website again, Chris.
www.ados101.com. You can check out the agenda on the website, learn more about what ADOS is all about, connect with the founders of the hashtag and all that stuff. ados101.com. And
thank you for being my very first guest. And it was
honored.
Fitting you were supposed to be my first guest. I will be doing this broadcast every Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where we're going to have some very candid conversations. So, Chris, I want to thank you. The ADOS movement, I'm on board, and let's continue to talk and continue to spread the word. And you keep being the advocate that you are and doing the work that you're doing out there in California.
Will do, and likewise. Thank you, and thank you to the audience for your time too. I appreciate it. I know people's time is precious, so I definitely appreciate it.
Thank you, Chris. Have a good night, everybody.